Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. So today we are returning to the my favorite WWF LJN Wrestling Superstars tournament. This is round one, part 3, and based on the randomization of today's selection, there are a lot of heavy hitters. Now, we could pretty much say the same is true for pretty much every single matchup, every single round of this tournament, because we did select pretty much 128 of all of the heavy hitters that I have, with a few mixed in, because I did select, obviously, figures that weren't part of previous tournaments, right? But I'm looking at this matchup, man, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing, because there are going to be a lot of first round eliminations of characters that have done pretty darn well in these tournaments in the past. But enough talk in the beginning. I like to dive right in with these tournaments. And this first matchup, they're all good ones, but let's dive in with the first matchup, which features number 127, the natural Butch Reed, as he takes on number 29, Red Shirt Hogan. So we'll start off with the natural here. So, in fact, when I was doing the we'll call it episode 0 for sake of argument, I was going through all of the original LJN figures, and then after that, I was looking at all customs, right? And I was trying to keep it in order by customizer. All of Wrestling Router figures, all of Raider Nation figures, all of Mark Hackenberg, Robert Jackson, Raider Nation, Random Treasures, etc. And then, different customizers. And because I kind of had this figure mixed in with a bunch of other figures, Wrestling Rider, a group of figures, right? I kind of skipped over this piece. And I didn't include him, or I didn't mention that he was going to be included in the tournament. And one of my viewers, Dave, kind of mentioned, like, how did you not include Butch Reed? He was a finalist in the last tournament. I'm like, sure enough, like, duh. Yes, Butch Reed was a finalist in my last tournament, and I looked at this figure, and here's the thing. He was almost not a part of the last tournament. Like, while I was actually in the process of conducting the first round of that tournament, I saw this guy on eBay. I'm like, that is incredible. That is an awesome. I think the eBay seller, I think her name was, I don't know if it was a female seller or not, but I think the eBay seller's name was Mommy D's, if I could recall correctly. And they had this up on auction, and I'm like, I have to have it. And I think it's a hybrid figure. I think it's a resin / rubber figure. And if I could get his feet out. So you look at the hands, like, this is resin because it's immovable. So the arms, they don't move, but the feet, like I said, it's a hybrid figure. And it's got that perfect playable pose, right? What I talk about, Butch Reed glue 2-up, right? Butch Reed. So you throw in Mr. T, you throw in Barbarian from Ram Treasures. So he's got that beautiful, perfect play pose that I enjoy. Unlike the Butch Reed Galoob 2-up, much more color and detail. So if you put the two figures together, you pretty much know which one you're going to select, right? And look at that. This one, I really had a difficult time not choosing this one. This one could have won. In fact, if this one was part of my first tournament, could he have beaten Bruiser Brody? Very well, possibly. First tournament, maybe. Second tournament, possibly. He still could have gone back and beaten Colonel Mustafa in that last tournament. It's very possible. If I redid that tournament today, tournament 3, he could have won. Of course, if I redid that tournament today, it's possible that that resin Dragon Steamboat figure could have won. It's possible, right? What do I always say? Your opinions do change from time to time, right? Or I could have redone that tournament, that exact same tournament 3. It could have been a random drawing, and he could have probably faced Sid Vicious in the very first matchup and lost. So you just never know. And that's why I love doing these tournaments, because a figure that went 5 rounds in tournament 1 is a first-time elimination in tournament 2. Hulk Hogan, Series 1. First-time elimination in first two tournaments. Of course, he was knocked off by his custom counterpart, so it really doesn't count. But he made it all the way to, what was it, semifinals, I think, in the 3rd tournament. So it just shows you how these things change, right? One of the greatest figures ever. I mean, not just my personal favorite, but literally one of the best. Incredible piece. Now, the Hulk Hogan Series 5, whether you're looking at white shirt or red shirt, I think it's irrelevant. I do put the Series 5 Hogans in my top 20 favorite LJN figures, but they're commemorative pieces at the end of the day. They are not what you would classify as playable pieces. You look at Hogan Series 1, it is a perfect playable action figure as a kid. You get this as a kid, you're not utilizing this. This is, even as a child, you are shelving this piece immediately. You're looking at it, you're enjoying it, you're holding it in your hand, you're loving it. It's a Hulk Hogan. We are all Hulksters. We're all Hulkamaniacs. We love the figure. We love Hulk Hogan. But you are not playing with this figure. I look at this as an adult, and I look at the value, especially of an original red shirt Hogan, which can go for like $200 to like $350 for an original, even if it's like a beat up figure, right? And you're not, if you're like giving this to your kid for play, you're not giving him this. You're giving him a Series 1, right? Which can go for like anywhere between $10 to like $40, depending on condition, and whether or not it comes with like championship belt or something, but. Fantastic piece. Absolutely love the Hulk Hogan. I think the commemorative piece, I love the fact that he's a thicker, bulkier figure. Think of him more of a 305-pound guy. When you look at the Series 1 figure, he's a much skinnier figure. So I like that they did him a little bit better in that respect as far as the waistline goes. You know, thicker thighs and whatnot. You know, better for the leg drop, I think. But he's a commemorative piece, not really a playable figure. Looks good, display-wise. Not better than a Series 1. Top 20 because of said look. That's it. Never in a million years would you put him over a Butch Reed. Never. I love that look, too. I mean, look at that. I think of Butch Reed, man. I think of, like, Survivor Series, and I always talk about this because I think about Bam Bam Bigelow, right? I think about these guys together. I think Bam Bam Bigelow. I think about Hogan. I think about Paul Orndorff, right? Who else was in that tournament? I mean, Andre the Giant, obviously. Rick Rude. I think about, like, oh, man. So many freaking guys. Like, it was a 5-on-5 matchup. I never get all the guys' names in there. But I mean, it was Bam Bam at the end, and he had to hold his own against, like, Bundy and One Man Gang and Andre the Giant. All these freaking monsters. Like, dude, you held yourself right for a little bit, but you weren't going to last against all those giants. And right at the end, oh my God, just seeing himself get tossed around by Andre, that was just so sad. Like, Andre was really at the tail end of his career there. I mean, he could barely do anything with Bam Bam. The way he kind of tossed him around, like, I'm not saying toss him around like a rag doll. Like, he could barely lift a plate off a table. Like, that's how poor, like, he could barely lift him. I'm like, ugh. Poor Andre, man. I was really, watching that match, I was really feeling for Andre in that match, though. but he's a freaking legend. Even with all his injuries and all the pain he was in, we all will love Andre, right? And even when Andre was nothing more than like a bear hug guy and a booty bust guy and a headbutt guy, legend. We will never have an issue with him, no matter what, right? This matchup, it was an absolute no-brainer. This isn't something you're talking about for 20 minutes. This is like a 2-minute match. Talk about for a little bit, but Butch Reed was a no-brainer. All right. Put Butch Reed back on his stand. And next matchup. Now, this matchup is going to be a little bit interesting because, honestly, I don't feel like it's as easy as I would have thought when I first pulled them off the shelves. It's going to feature number 108, Paul Orndorff, as he takes on number 101, Rhythm and Blues Honky Tonk Man. Now, this is the Raider Nation Honky Tonk Man, and this has always been one of my all-time favorite figures from the collection. From the very get-go, from the early stages of collecting, not only one of my favorite Raider Nation figures, possibly my favorite Raider Nation figure, but one of my favorite pieces, period. And we're up to like, what, 360 figures or so? I mean, I haven't counted them, but I'm assuming I'm somewhere in that neighborhood. And he's always done extremely well in my tournaments. And even in a tournament like this, where I've eliminated so many figures and basically broke it down to about a third of my figures, and I still keep him in this tournament. That just shows you how much I covet this piece. And he's, what, like a 5th rounder pretty much like every single time or close to it. I don't know how well he did last time. I don't remember, but he's a piece I covet quite frequently. And this time around, I might contemplate potentially eliminating him in the very first round. Maybe. But let's talk about it. So Honky Tonk Man, and I heard stories that like Honky Tonk Man wasn't even like the original go-to guy for the Intercontinental title, and I thought that was interesting, but he just happened to be the guy that was there. You know, bad guy. So hey, let's put the belt on you. And he was supposed to hold it for like a temporary short amount of time and then lose it, but he held it. He held it. And then he held it some more. It was like, I can't remember the exact number. It was like 439 days or something like that. What was that? Like 14 months, some crazy number. Like, insane. Like, you think of the Intercontinental title as the workman's title belt, right? Like, it's a transitional title. You don't think of Intercontinental Champion as a long tenured title. You think of Hulk Hogan, a guy that holds a heavyweight title for like 3 years. A Bob Backlund type guy that holds a title for 10,000 years. You think of guys like that, right? Bruno Sammartino, who holds a title for 10 million years. You think of guys like that. Bret Hart forever. These are guys who hold heavyweight titles for a long time. You don't think of Intercontinental Champions as long tenure guys. Usually a couple of months, sometimes a few weeks, but not a long time. It usually goes, like I said, a few weeks to a couple months usually, but not forever. I mean, usually if you get guys up there for 6-7 months, they've had a solid freaking run. You go for a year, that's crazy. Like, you think Demolition for like 11-12 months for tag team titles? That is insane to have a tag team champion for a freaking year. But there's a reason why he is known as the greatest Intercontinental Champion ever. The more modern guy, I think the dude that broke his modern record, do we count this guy? I think most guys will say this is your champion. You know, forget that. The new guy, I can't remember his name. I mean, every now and then, like I'll bring up his name, but like it's something I forget his name more times than not. It's very forgettable. Let's put it that way. His name is forgettable. So that's how very little I think most of us care, right? It's sad. I think about Hasbro, right? And then you look at the back of like the Series 1, Series 2 cards, like Honky Tonk Man and Greg Valentine were actually supposed to have a 2-pack of Rhythm and Blues. And of course, Greg Valentine with the stupid black hair, which was so horrible. And Greg Valentine actually did not want to be part of like the whole Elvis impersonator look. Felt very uncomfortable with that whole moniker. Honky Tonk Man played that role to perfection. Absolute beaut. But they ended up breaking up, and that figure never, that tag team set never came out. And of course, the Series 3 Greg Valentine Rhythm and Blues individual figure, obviously that never came out. That prototype, owned by Matt Cardona, was sold for like 40 grand, which is insane. But I love talking about this figure. I don't know if I could possibly put this one down, but great paint scheme. And I'm noticing that my metal freaking hooks are like are digging into this, and it's cutting into the paint, and I hate that. The one thing I really love about this Paul Orndorff, 1 billion % better than the original figure. And yeah, it really helps when they put him on a Hulk Hogan body with the fighting pose and everything. And then they use the same head sculpt, I think. I don't think they really changed that up. I mean, there's deficiencies, obviously. But, I don't know, did they use the same head sculpt? Maybe they may have altered the head a little bit. I mean, there's other deficiencies, obviously. I mean, I had a cutout here. Obviously, you see the way they kind of like brushed over it. You see the changes, obviously. They didn't bleed the head with the flesh tone of with the neck and back that well, but it's still a much better Paul Orndorff than what you got with the original. And, you know, Mr. Wonderful on the back, good boots, which I really love. And that play pose alone makes this a superior figure, obviously. And I could see me, like, you know, I've had people in the past ask me, hey, would you ever do, you know, wrestling federations? Probably not. But, like, if I ever were to think about it, consider it, Paul Orndorff would be part of that. This one, obviously, because this would be so much fun to use. Get that Hogan, get a Hogan out, get this one, get my Ultimate Warrior with this pose. That would be killer. This is an action figure tournament. The reality is the small deficiencies with the skin was done. It's not like a huge negative to me, but this is done so much better. You ever look at these figures, you always see the little KL from the Raider Nation. Now Justin, he gets these figures from a customizer named Kenny Lester. He's the creator or the customizer of these figures, and Kenny is an awesome creator, awesome customizer. So anybody knows Kenny Lester, highly recommend his work. One of the best out there. I mean, I rate him probably among my top 5 favorite customizers ever. Right up there with guys like Mark Hackenberg, among great customizers, great artists. I really strongly thought he had a serious chance of moving forward, but I can't pass on Honky Tonk Man, guys. He is moving on to round 2. Alright, so the next matchup is going to feature a pair of Random Treasure figures from Random Treasures number 71, Dusty Rhodes takes on number 66, Smash. Now, I pretty much right off the bat, I have a general idea of who I'm going to choose, I think, but it can't be as simple. I want to start off with Smash. Obviously, the great thing about Ram Treasures is they bring you a lot of the 1989 figures that were supposed to have been released by Grand Toys that never were produced, i.e., the Bushwhackers, Brother Love, Bad News Brown, Powers of Pain Barbarian, and Demolition Smash. So it's nice that you got those figures, within the last few years, a few years ago. And now more modern day companies like Big Rubber Guys are starting to come out with, those characters. They've come out with Demolition Complete. They've come out with Bad News Brown. And even Latuni, they're coming out with Demolition Complete. So, but in the past, you want custom figures, you got really good ones from Ram Treasures. I mean, the skin on these figures, they don't mesh up, with the originals. The rubber, obviously, you can feel, and they're customs. You got to realize they are custom figures. So, when you feel the rubber, they are much more flimsy than any original figure. You pull on the rubber of these. Yes, you go back and forth on these enough, they will tear. Okay. Like I said, the skin on these, they do not mesh well with an original figure. Like this figure though, I think this is a little bit more in tune with the original figures. And I think the rubber on this is actually a little bit more solid. But anyways, one downside of this particular figure is they kind of went with the whole, Jesse Ventura type pose, right? You know how Axe is right hand out? They did a whole mimic with the left hand out, which I didn't like, but that's kind of like the shtick with Ram Treasures with a lot of their tag teams is they mirror their tag team sets. You know how British Bulldogs with the original line, they mirror their tag teams. So when you get the Bushwhackers, they mirror their tag teams. Demolition, they mirror their tag teams. The Rockers, they mirror their tag teams. Wild Samoans, they mirror their tag teams, etc. So, I mean, that's understandable. I'm surprised when they came out with Demolition Crush, they didn't do like one of these numbers or something. Or possibly just give him one of these numbers on either hand, but it is a solid piece. Like, I love the figure. I think Demolition Smash is among Ram Treasures exclusives, is probably, if not among their top 5, top 7, he's got to be in like the top 10, top 12 best figures. And, face paint is incredible. Demolition will always have one of the greatest looks out there, no doubt. With the vest and the spikes throughout, incredible. And they even had the know-how to go out and even add the blue underneath the knee pads. Love the piece. And I've always said, with LJN original Axe, if Axe didn't have that stupid, Jesse Ventura hand out, he would be a top 10 best figure. They gave him like a real legitimate fighting pose. Hulk Hogan fighting pose. Could he have been like a number 1 best action figure? Maybe. Very strongly, he probably could have. But he would have been a top 10 best. But instead, Axe probably finds himself in like the 40 range because, right? So, and what I love talking about with Demolition, obviously with Road Warriors being in the AWA, Vince McMahon, during all of his poaching, he couldn't get Legion of Doom as part of WWF. Road Warriors went to WCW, and he couldn't get them from WCW. So what did he do? He created these leather-wearing, face-painted, heavyweight, massive beefcake type guys. These buff dudes. These intimidating forces in the ring. Kind of mimic Legion of Doom. And then, when he finally did get the contract to bring Legion of Doom over to WWF. The WWF faithful, the young fans, they really didn't take too well to Legion of Doom at first. I guess that the talk was a lot of the early fans, young fans in the early days, they were kind of, the complaint was they were thinking of Legion of Doom as a copycat of Demolition. And as we all know, Demolition was a copycat of Legion of Doom. So, like, duh. Like, so it was going full circle. And of course, later on, when Bill Eadie got injured, they had to bring in a third member, bring in Crush. And they had that three-member team, which I always love. I love these three-member tag teams. You know, like the Freebirds, for example. So having the three members of Crush and Smash, Crush, and Axe was amazing. And of course, you know, later on, Barry Darsow would go on to become Repo Man. I like his characters a lot. Like he and you didn't even have like they actually had another member. What the hell is his name? Like he in Crush, Axe and Smash, like they've had multiple face paints. Like when I think of Demolition, like I only think of like a select few. Like I think of Axe in gray face with like the red eyes, and I think of Smash as this right here. But like they've had like, you know, red face with like yellow paint, and the red devil face for Axe and so forth, and like they've had multiple faces. Like I think I've seen like Smash and like a sort of blue face or something, and the other guy, there was another member, like Moondog Rex was part of the original, was like the original Smash, and like Funky, right? But there was another Crush, Smash, Axe. It's right at the tip of my tongue, and I'm trying to think of it. Once I end this darn video, the name is going to pop in my head and it's going to drive me nuts. But anyways, let's get to Dusty. American Dream. I like that they named his son the American Nightmare. I think that's freaking amazing. Oh, God. I mean, it's... You look at it like a Dustin Rhodes with the WCW UK exclusive with the red boots, right? You look at like these boots. You look at the big rubber guys in both red or yellow boots, like, or you look at Barry Windham. You look at Steve Williams. You look at Tully Blanchard and like Arn Anderson. I freaking love these guys' boots, man. I love the cowboy boots. Like, these things are phenomenal, okay? Like, I love the color and design that goes into these boots. I think they are fantastic. I mean, I generally gravitate towards the white and red boots. I think those are super killer. Like the sort of like teeth or shark or tidal waves are like on the Steve Williams boots. Those are cool, okay? I like those a lot. They throw in like the little birthmark on Dusty. You know, fighting pose is a whole lot better. Not quite Hulk Hogan-esque, but I mean, it's a little bit closer. It's kind of like Hulk Hogan Series 1 meets sort of Abdullah the Butcher, maybe. If that's a good combination. Kind of like the, you know, little small chops that they give him with like the little choke slam, little small punches. So, I mean, I guess that's a good combination. Now, in terms of these two figures, I mean, Smash has everything I need with the overall look and design. I mean, the only thing he does not have in this particular figure is fighting pose. So, Dusty Rhodes, he is a very simple, plain figure with just simply trunks. And a lot of people are going to be like, that's fine. He is a in-ring gear, playable fighting figure. That's all we need. He's also more of a legend. So He is wrestling nobility. And a lot of people are going to gravitate towards that. Play pose. The number one thing I always gravitate towards, right? But I ask myself, when I look at these two figures, what has the best opportunity for success in this tournament? And honestly, I think Dusty is the guy that's going to do, has the best opportunity to do well against other characters, other figures in this tournament. Aesthetically, there's no question. Smash has the look I covet, but as a play pose first guy, this is the one that I think has the overall. Plus, he's got that bulk, man. The waist, this to me is it, right? Pose, the thickness. I like the boots a lot. The boots on this are faded, and another one of my complaints I have with Round Treasures. Look at the boots on this. It's tripping. I mean, this sits like if I were to look at this and say, hey, the metal hooks are digging into this and it's chipping. That's fine. That's on me, but they're not. There's nothing wrong there. But why are the boots chipping? There's nothing touching the boots. It just sits on the shelf. So at this point, I think I've decided I am not going to buy Ram Treasure Customs anymore. Way too expensive. Like, there's still a Bret Hart, an Owen Hart. There's still a Honky Tonk Man. And there's still a few Hogan, Ichiban Hogan, like a couple other variants I wanted to pick up. But at this point, I think I'm done with Ram Treasures. Their stuff is just, all their figures keep chipping, and it's just, the quality is just, for their prices, it's just not worthy. Not anymore, guys. At about 80 plus figures that I bought from them, I mean, that's what, $12,000 worth of product. Probably close to 100 championships belts that I bought. All the accessories. You know, they made a fortune off me. I think they made enough off me. They're done. Dusty Rhodes. We'll move on to the next round. Damn. Ram Treasures has made a fortune off me. I'm just thinking about that in monetary value. Damn, that's crazy. What have I been doing with my life? That's funny. That's cool, guys. Next one. Next one is, or the last matchup of this. This one's going to hurt. No matter which way I go with this battle, this one's going to hurt a lot. Number 40, Papa Shango, is going to square off against number 2, Big John Studd. We'll start off with Papa Shango. In the last tournament, 320 figures. This figure almost won. I don't remember where Papa Shango was eliminated, but he was almost a winner. I mean, it could have been like 8 figures remaining, 16 figures, 30 figures. I don't remember. But like he was there. He was close. He was right near the end. I love this piece a lot. I mean, it's just a SD Jones remade, but like you touch the skin and you feel like you're like, well, it's not really done that well. But I like it. The way that it's done. Think about like the Doink in the last one, right? The way that they do the Harley race with the like the sneakiness, with the way the hands are in, right? And the face, the look of that. You think of how sneaky that Doink is, right? That figure is perfect for that Doink character. The way that they make this particular figure with the skin tone and the roughness, kind of like sandpaper a little bit. I kind of classify this Papa Shango as like a sort of zombie like figure, and even the way that I don't mind the fact that this is not built in, like it's not stuck, like it's not complete. Because of the way that I treat this figure, like a sort of monster, like a sort of zombie-ish figure, I don't mind this, because if I'm treating it like a zombie type, it makes sense. Like his arm is coming loose because he's dead, right? He's dead. He's decapitating, or he's decapitating. I'm thinking like he had to sew his arm back on or something. But so like I look at it like that, right? And the skin, or the feel of the skin, it's perfect. And that whole, trying to get like the right look at the face. Like, I think that is freaking cool. I don't know if you could get like the right, I'm trying to get you the right view of the skin. Sorry, I know I'm like super close, but I want you guys to get like the right look of the skin, because I want you to kind of get the feel of what I'm trying to describe to you. But so, and I obviously want you to see the tattoos. So when I say that it's kind of like a zombie, I want you guys to understand my meaning. So this went very far for a particular reason, right? And with the built-in accessory, it just made it so freaking cool. Yeah, I love listening to one of the most recent interviews with Charles Wright, and this man had like 10,000 gimmicks. Good friends with the Undertaker, Mark Calloway, and Mark actually, or the Undertaker, he actually brought Charles Wright, who had like a bunch of, like I said, ton of different gimmicks, not just in WWF, but like in other promotions as well. He brought him into WWF, and Papa Shango was always my favorite. Like, what the hell is Goodfather, Godfather, Kama Mustafa. I actually remember Kama and Kama Mustafa. The little boxer type. I mean, those were fine, but this right here, I love this. Everybody hates on this guy. I love this. I love this gimmick. This was perfectly fine. So, but in WrestleMania 8, when Hogan dropped the leg on Sid Vicious, and you know how protected the leg drop was with Hogan, and I think Sid Vicious was like the first person or Sid Justice was the first person to kick out, and he wasn't supposed to. Papa Shango was supposed to jump in and basically knock Hogan off, and he missed his cue. So Sid Justice had to kick out. But according to Charles Wright, he never missed no cue. Gorilla Monsoon was supposed to tell him, go, 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 go. And that never happened. But, everyone's professional, and, you're supposed to know when to go, do that. So Gorilla Monsoon, he completely forgot that he was supposed to tell him to go. And, so that just never happened. And then he realized, hey, I was supposed to tell you to go, and I forgot to tell you. And so he was late. He was the one that was late. Oh, man. It's a great figure, right? I like this one a lot. The problem with this particular matchup. Does he beat Big John Studd? Did I put any? I don't think I put any other Big John Studd in this tournament. I had a Robert Jackson Big John Studd referee repainted like this. I also had another Big John Studd referee, not utilizing this pose, but a different one, different legs, like fingers up like so or something. But I don't think I used either one of those. I think this is the only one I put in this tournament. And there were so many things I really enjoyed about this particular figure when I first got it in. First off, the weight. I don't know if this was heavier than King Kong Bundy, but like he's even heavier than Andre the Giant. I actually threw this on the scale one day, and I was very surprised that this was heavier than Andre, and it was like 1.8, and I think Andre is like 1.6, 1.5, 1.4, something like that. I'm like, huh, really? So when you're like sitting there and you're like bashing these guys together, he's like an enforcer type. I love that. Obviously, back in 2022 when I did my first tournament, I never had LJNs as a kid. So when I did that tournament, I wanted to be 8 years old for a little while. I couldn't do a tournament if I had no idea how these figures played, how serviceable they were. So I had to get a feel for the figures. So yes, I put a few Royal Rumbles together and played with them a little bit just to kind of have a better idea, better understanding of the playability of the figures. I had so much fun with playing with them a little bit. Yes, I played with the figures. Just a little bit, just like I said, just to get a feel for them and, you know, goof off a little bit, whatever. Big, bulky figure. Remind me of Sid Vicious Galoob. Enjoyed it. Had that perfect grip. I always talk about grips. And he had that in spade. You know, loved the ability to get under it and had that perfect body slam. Had that perfect body slam pose. Weight, width, grip, fighting pose, look, name recognition. Everything you were looking for in an action figure. Love it. And my very first tournament, the figure made it all the way to my finals. Last two standing against Bruiser Brody. In fact, I was about to anoint him my first champion. I was about to hold him up, winner of my first tournament. And the second I was about to hold him up, I decided to hold up Bruiser Brody instead and choose Brody as my champion that first tournament. Dang. Second tournament rolled around, back in the semifinals, and I ended up having Kamala and Big John Studd back in the semifinals, facing off against each other again. That time, I decided to go with Kamala over Big John Studd instead of Studd over Kamala to go into the finals. So, again, it just shows you how things change over time. So, you know, Studd, he always seems to make it to either the semifinals or finals. So he's always a heavy hitter. The third tournament, I don't remember where he was, but he wasn't in the finals, and I don't remember him making it to the semifinals either. But he's always a heavy hitter. And does he beat someone that I classify as just an absolute elite piece? Someone I absolutely love talking about as much as I do with this Papa Shango custom. Yes. I love that Shango custom, but this one is just so special to me. And I like talking about WrestleMania 2. Because of the Chicago, and you know, I like to talk about him and Andre, so I want to talk about that more the next time I bring this up in round 2. So Big John Studd will move on to round 2, and I look forward to hopefully seeing what kind of damage he could do later on in this tournament. So that will close out this video, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.